So, when a massive wildfire starts or a hurricane just takes a weird turn, where does your mind go? Well, for a whole lot of people online, the answer isn't weather charts. Nope. They're looking at this one remote facility up in Alaska. So let's get into it. Is this place, HAARP, really the super weapon that conspiracy theories make it out to be? Or is there something else going on?
I mean, you've probably seen a video just like this, right? The phone camera's all shaky, the sky's this crazy, unnatural orange, and you hear this voice. It's just filled with fear, but also this total certainty. And that quote, man, it gets right to the heart of this huge myth. The idea that these disasters, they aren't random. They're attacks. And the weapon? It's always HAARP.
And just like that, this idea has turned what's supposed to be a regular old science station into, well, the ultimate bad guy. Seriously, whenever something big and bad happens with the weather, HAARP becomes suspect number one. It's a really simple story, and it's super compelling. But what are people actually accusing it of doing?
Okay, and this is where it gets wild. Look at the scale of these claims. We're not talking about, making it rain a little. The version of HAARP in these stories, it's accused of literally everything. Steering hurricanes, sparking wildfires, even causing earthquakes. It's painted as this almost godlike power that can bend the whole planet to its will.
So where is this all-powerful weapon supposed to be hiding? Well, you'd have to go to a field full of antennas out in Gakona, Alaska. So, okay, let's do it. Let's peel back the layers of myth and take a good hard look at what this place actually is.
The name itself tells you a lot. HAARP. It stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. It's not called the Global Weather Dominator 5000, Its actual purpose is to do research on the ionosphere. And that's a super specific layer of our atmosphere, way, way up there where space basically begins, and it's just full of charged particles.
So how does it work? Well, the actual process is pretty simple, really. Think of it like a giant radio transmitter on the ground. It just shoots a focused beam of energy straight up, really high. It kind of tickles a tiny patch of those particles up in the ionosphere. And then scientists down here measure what happens. It's basically a lab experiment, but the lab is the tippy top of our atmosphere.
But why even do this? Well, the goals might not be as exciting as steering hurricanes, I'll give you that. But they're actually super important for the way we live today. Scientists use HAARP to understand space weather, and that research helps them improve things we rely on every single day, like our GPS and radio signals.
And this really gets us to the heart of it all. The story of HAARP, the superweapon, is, yeah, it's dramatic. But does it actually make any sense when you look at the basic laws of physics? Let's put the myth up against the math.
So here's the massive disconnect, right in a nutshell. On one hand, you've got this claim that it can control a hurricane, something with an unbelievable amount of energy. And on the other hand, you have the reality. It's a tool that makes a tiny, temporary change in a layer of the atmosphere that's hundreds of kilometers above where our weather even happens. This chart right here, it really puts the energy into perspective. Let's just say the energy in one single thunderstorm is the size of a skyscraper. Well, HAARP's maximum power output? It's like maybe one brick sitting on the sidewalk next to it. We're not just talking about different scales here. We're talking about completely different universes of power. I love this quote. It just nails the absurdity of it all. It says, trying to steer a hurricane with HAARP is like shining a flashlight at a hurricane and claiming you're driving its path. I mean, think about that. The mismatch in energy is just so huge, the storm wouldn't even notice it's there. The physics simply does not add up.
Okay, so if the science just isn't there, why is this myth so powerful? Why do so many people believe it? Well, the answer really has less to do with physics and a lot more to do with us, with human psychology. It turns out we have this deep, deep need for a villain. I mean, just think about it. When a disaster strikes out of nowhere, it feels random. It feels cruel. And we hate that feeling of helplessness. But what if someone did it? Now that's a different story. Suddenly we have a target for our anger. And that anger can feel way better, way more powerful than fear. And for a lot of people, HAARP is that perfect target. And this is usually how the proof gets built. It's a textbook case of mixing up correlation with causation. So look, HAARP runs experiments, that's a fact. And natural disasters happen, that's also a fact. The conspiracy logic just takes the moments where those two things overlap and screams, see, coincidence? I think not.
but it conveniently ignores all the times HAARP was running and nothing happened, or all the times disasters happened when HAARP was off. It creates a pattern that looks convincing, but it's totally misleading.
Because the real story, well, as usual, it's way more complicated and a lot less like a movie than a secret weather weapon. So let's get into that real and, yeah, much harder story.
The real causes behind a lot of these disasters are, well, kind of boring by comparison, but they're the real deal. We're talking about stuff that happens over decades. Forests getting drier, summers getting hotter, the way we manage land, old power lines. I mean, it's a whole mix of things. There's no single bad guy, and there's definitely no simple on-off switch. And right there, that's the real appeal of the conspiracy theory. The simple story says a small, secret group of people did this to you. It's clean, it's easy to get mad at. But the harder truth? It's that the problem is huge, it's slow-moving, and we're all a part of it in some way. And that is so much harder to deal with. Blaming some antennas in Alaska, it's just easier. So where does all this leave us? Well, it kind of leaves us with a choice, doesn't it? We can chase the simple story with the easy villain, or we can actually engage with the messy, complex reality. And choosing that second path, well, that takes a different kind of thinking. Think of this as a little toolkit for real skepticism, and it works for way more than just HAARP. Instead of just asking the classic, who benefits, a real skeptic asks deeper questions. How much energy would this really take? Where's the proof I can actually check for myself? Does this even line up with what we know about physics? Is there maybe a much simpler explanation that makes more sense? And this is why all of this really, really matters. Because if you truly believe a secret weapon is starting every wildfire, you might not bother to clear the dry brush from around your own home. If you think every drought is man-made by some secret cabal, why would you bother conserving water? See, the myth isn't just wrong, it can be genuinely dangerous because it distracts us from the real things we can do to prepare for real risks. So in the end, it really comes down to this one question. What's more useful? Is it the simple story with a clear villain that lets us feel angry, or is it the complex truth that's kind of messy and requires real work from all of us? One story gives us a villain to blame, the other gives us actual problems that we need to solve. The choice of where we put our focus, well, that's up to us.